employees or so, then I'll be able to find more time. But no, it's just the timing of you in Australia and me in the United States. That's pretty much. I just want to be respectful for your time as well.
Yeah, well, Craig, for a start, I'm your servant. Your time is what we can manage, but that's okay. Look, what I'd like to do is I'd like to say to you that I record these meetings, and the reason why I record them is so that you can go back to them. And if there's something you missed, because I know sometimes there's a complication in what we do, but if you see it again, it will demystify whatever it is the complication is. And really what I do is I only really charge for what I record. And so what I would say to you is, if we're going to do 1 hour sessions, which I think is going to be important for you going forward right now with what you're doing, we need to get focused. And what I'll do is I'll change the rate from the $250 per 90 minutes to $125 for 1 hour. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay, I'd just like to be clear about that from the beginning. And then if we can get 1 hour together, that's fine. I always think it's important that all the players involved are there. That clearly there's something going on that I don't understand, and it really may be none of my business, and that's okay. What we need to do is get very focused on the outcomes that you need over the next 3-4 weeks. Are you okay with that?
I am.
Okay, so on the screen now, I don't want to take up or waste your time right now. I just want to get on with the task at hand so we can get very focused for your meeting tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So can you see my screen?
You want to be on this meeting right now?
Huh?
You want to be on this? Okay. Me and Kelly. All right. Kelly.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell Wendy about that you and I was going to meet today, but she did say she's interested in sitting in on it. She's only going to be able to be there for like 20, 30 minutes, but.
Well, it's only going to take us 20 or 30 minutes to get your mind focused for your meeting tomorrow. That's all I care about.
Okay. All right, let's shoot away, man. Let's go after it.
Okay, so Wendy's with us now?
Yes.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Wendy, thank you for being here. And I don't know whether you can see my screen or not, but I just want to give you a format to think.
Okay.
Okay, this is being recorded, and I've said to Craig, I want to meet twice a week at 1 hour, and I changed the rate so that it's $125, not $250, and I record it and I send you the recording. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
I just want to get the thing moving. So,
Yeah.
Wendy, how are you feeling, and what do you expect from today? And the same from Craig, and then we'll get on and we'll take half an hour, and I'll just.
You may not want to ask me. I don't even know what we're doing. I didn't know we were meeting. I didn't know what the meeting is tomorrow. I don't even know what that is. I'm in the dark, so I'm caught off guard and don't really know what to expect because I don't know what we're even going over.
So we're going over what tomorrow. That when I sit down and talk about the sales process, we gave you an explanation more about Dari and trying to get this place packed for tomorrow using the interns. Using the interns to help assist in helping us get this place packed.
So the meeting is with the interns?
It's with David, but he'll be spreading it to the interns. And he want my take on what we want. So, all right. It's nothing to stress over. It's nothing to stress over. It really is. All right, Kelly.
All right, Wendy, from my perspective, I'm what this meeting about for me is to set a thinking process which allows you guys, when you're in your meetings, to do the things that are required to be done. Okay, so I get your frustration. I understand all of that. And so let me just lead it. Let me lead today, and then we'll get on with processes later. Craig, I understand that there's stuff going on in the background that needs to be dealt with. Right now, we just need to get very focused. And focused means, in a lot of ways, we've got to communicate with each other what's going on so we can trust each other. So I'll just say that from the very beginning. Wendy, what I'm doing right now is I want you to think about a process that when you go into a meeting, you can apply the same process every single time. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because really business is about the doing, but it's also about the thinking about what you're going to do. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain to you what I've put on screen for you now so that you can really understand what I'm attempting to achieve on this call. So I'm just going to read directly from this and save time to get on with it. The barriers to how you push through stress of physical and metaphysical. So these are the barriers that you have to consider to push through. And I can hear and see that there's stress. It's both physical stress and metaphysical stress. Do you understand what I mean by physical and metaphysical?
Mm-hmm.
Craig's working hard, working hard, you're working hard, but there's also a mental stress that's going on. I can hear Craig saying, don't stress. Well, it's hard not to stress when you don't know what's going on, so I get it. To deal with that, we have to embrace the stress by being aware and cognitive. Do you understand what aware and cognitive is?
Yes.
Do.
Okay, so all of a sudden, you become aware of this call, and now I want you to be cognitive of the call. Okay. Also, I want you to understand the way to deal with it is to set clear micro goals. And a micro goal is right now. What are we doing right now? How are we going to do it? And how will it affect my future? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now be aware of the macro picture. You know what macro picture is?
The big picture?
Yeah, it's the absolute big picture. So Craig and I spoke yesterday, and we spoke about what the macro is, and he said he's got a couple things going on. But in my view, your business has one thing that it must consider over the next year. That's why you have me. If I'm not pushing you towards that, then I'm not doing my job. The macro goal for the next year is one word. You know what that one word is, Wendy?
Yeah, I guess profit, revenue.
Yeah, it's not just revenue. You guys have got revenue. You've got money flowing through your hands. What you don't have is profit. That's what's causing a lot of the stress, is profit. And profit is what is left over. And profit left over is not just money. It's all the things around money. It's what you create, because a business creates the flow of money. And what you lack right now, you've got business. That's not the issue right now. You've got revenue flowing through. You've got products. You've got all kinds of concepts that are moving. What's missing in the equation of your business is profit. Money left over for you to do the things that you want to do without being stressed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in my mind right now, macro changes, but what the most important thing for us to consider is profit. You guys have got a reasonable business. If all you want to say is occupying time and doing something in an area, you've got turnover and you've got business, you've got revenue, but you don't have profit. And anyone can see that. So my job is to focus you on that. And so if we know what the big picture is, it's a single word, it's profit. Does that make sense to you, Craig?
Makes a lot of sense.
Now, how do you make that profit is the question. And that's really why I'm personally quite excited about Dari. I don't like the people necessarily that you're working with, Dari, and I don't like the back foot that we're playing off of. I like to be on the front foot leading forward. Right now, it's coming at us. And what we've got to do is get on the front foot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason why I want to be on the front foot is I want to make a profit. I just want for there to be greater revenues, but I want there to be more money to distribute. It's as simple as that. So know the goal for each step of embracing. Talk to yourself about the specifics. Challenge yourself. Focus on the immediate. Does that all make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So when we're looking at that, this is really the thought process. Now, what I want to talk to you about is this idea of feeding something forward. Do you know what feed forward means?
Yeah. I guess move forward. I don't know.
Yeah, it's moving
exactly.
forward. It's realizing that I'm here right now. I'm on the back foot and I have to move forward. And as I understand I have to move forward, I literally have to have a way of thinking about it that keeps me focused, right? Because no question about whatever happens, there's going to be something that feeds back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you put something out, without question, something's going to come back. That's just the laws of gravity. That's the laws of life. Whenever you push something out, something's going to push back towards you. Have you ever noticed that, Craig?
I do.
Right? And so every single day, there's pressures, physical and metaphysical, that push back onto you. The question is, how do you handle them? You understand my point now?
We do.
Okay. So I want you to understand this. Cause. Have you ever heard the word cause? I'm at cause.
Cost? Yeah.
Cause. C-A-U-S-E. Cause.
Uh-huh.
Cause is always a past moment. Whatever you're feeling right now, whatever's going on in your life was created in the past. It's not created in the future. It's created in the past. And so when you look at it, right here at this moment, when you're feeding something forward, usually the greatest obstacle is the past. You guys understand that?
Yep.
Wendy.
Uh-huh.
Cause is yesterday's pattern. When setting goals for the future, you must know where you're at. You must know where you're at right now. Now, from a numbers point of view, I understand where you're at. From a process point of view, I don't really understand, and I'm learning that over time. But I do know that where we're at right now in our business, in your business, you have to make a profit or you won't be there in a couple years' time. It's as simple as that. You'll run out of energy.
Couple weeks.
Right? You guys understand?
Yeah.
Right? And that's so obvious. It doesn't matter. It's obvious. Okay. Now, conversion. This is the part that you probably haven't heard that much about. Most people hear cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, right? But conversion always happens in the vital right now. What's happening right now? Conversion is about the habits and actions that happen right now. The more times you focus on a habit, the more it will repeat and become a pattern. So what we have to do is we have to convert. We have to take one thing and make it another by feeding something forward and taking feedback and making corrections or putting more energy, more pressure, more whatever it is. You must do that. You must get to that moment. And then effects are both physical and metaphysical and can be measured. Effects of change is a result or a consequence of actions taken. So every time you take an action, there's going to be a reaction and there's going to be a result. And what we have to do is we have to say, is that reaction what I was looking for? Is that result moving towards my goal? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, arrangement is always a thought in the now, considering a design future. So are we trying to arrange something?
Here we are.
Okay, we're trying to arrange an event called the launch of Dari Motion, and it's the launch of the event of Dari Motion in the Goals Performance Center, or at the same time, you can launch the concept of your center, which could be the Human Performance Center, could be lots of things, but it's your opportunity to expose, and you have to be focused about the exposure. Now, you guys have been talking about what it is that you want to do, and I've been leading you towards the idea. You've already got the expense of the center. You've already got the expense and the cost of running that center. You've already got all of these tools. You've got a reasonably large space. It's about branding it so that it differentiates it between everybody that goes there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, it does.
Wendy, does it make sense to you?
Uh-huh.
And the reason why I'm asking you that is there's no point in it being my design. It can't be my design. It can only be me that supports you in your design. I'm the servant. And when I say I'm the servant, I'm saying that I can hold your thoughts together and I can really work with you to make your thoughts work. And it's not necessarily my job to conceive your idea. You've already got the idea. You've already got the center. You've already got the thing working. And if truth be known, you've done a pretty good bloody job of it. The only thing that's missing is one thing. What's the one thing missing?
Profit.
Profit. And now, is that an easy thing for me to deal with? It's easy for me to deal with, and it's hard for you to deal with. I get it. But it's still the thing that if we get profit, we can do an awful lot more. So I would say to you that now is your absolute chance to define what it is that you do by everything you do leading up to this Dari Motion launch. And it will allow you to understand the concepts of what you're doing and the risks that you're taking. Because the first thing you do when you take a risk, what's the very first thing that you must do having taken that risk?
Mitigate risk.
You have to mitigate it. You have to reduce the risk. You've got money going out, right? And that's what's putting metaphysical pressure on you. It's the doubt of the money that's gone out to Dari Motion. It's the doubt of the money that's going into creating what it is that you're trying to create. I get all of that stuff. It still does not take away from the fact that you've already taken a risk. And our way to mitigate the risk is get the optimal position of the money going out and maximize the money coming in. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yes.
So Craig, when you've got meetings and you're going to talk to other people about where you're going, it's got to be bloody focused. And people around you have got to be able to support you. It's as simple as that. If we're going to support you, we've got to I get you're the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneurs, make no mistake, I'm an entrepreneur, and you're talking to a bona fide entrepreneur, not somebody who talks about it on a goddamn stage, but somebody who does it. We've got 2 scoops of energy more than anybody else. We take risk, and sometimes we're psychotic. You know what the psychoticness of us is, Craig?
My wife would say that I'm bipolar.
Yeah, no, I would say the thing that makes us psychotic is we're too optimistic. We do not believe we can fail. That's an entrepreneur because they believe it's all there. Right? I don't know if the word's bipolar or not, but I do know that I believe I can't fail. Is that similar to you, Craig?
All day.
All day, but it's a sickness for gosh sakes. You've got to manage the optimism, right? And just because we can do it doesn't mean it'll get done. It means that we got to manage it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so business and sales and marketing and branding is always the same. You've got to have an idea. You've got to start saying, I'm going to push out to the market. The second you push out to the market, you have to follow up. The second you follow up, you must follow through. And then you must repeat the process, because that's what feeding forward and feeding back is. I direct where I want to go. I get feedback from where I've been. And then I must follow through on that information. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So bearing in mind this thinking model, because that's all it is a thinking model. Bearing in mind your optimism, Craig, Wendy, bearing in mind your frustration. We still have to plan where you're going. We can't just be a wandering generality. What that means is we can't just say, okay, it will be okay, because it won't be okay. You guys have got 3 to 5 years of your life on the line right now. That's the ultimate truth. And it's the ultimate truth of that. You've done a pretty good job to where you go, and you need to hear that. You need to hear that you've done a pretty good job, right? But the reward for doing a good job is a bigger job. It's as simple as that. And we've got to create more cash flow, and in that cash flow, we got to create profit. So we have givens. We know when Dar emotion arrives. Yes?
Yes.
And we know how long they're going to be there for.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we've got to get a sense of urgency. We've got something like 3 weeks. Am I correct?
We have, yes, 3 weeks.
Okay, 3 weeks is perfect. You know why 3 weeks is perfect?
Why?
Most people can't think past a month anyway. And what you've got to do is you've got to create the urgency in that 3 weeks. Now, where do you think your targets are?
I think that our targets are going to be athletic organizations. I think medical, and I think general population.
Okay, so those are all great targets, but do you deal with all of those right now?
Not exactly, no. I would think our warm market is our current clients. Their businesses, their themselves, just our current clients, our past clients, and schools and teams that we've worked with in the past that we already have a relationship with, businesses that we already have a relationship with, corporations that we already have a relationship with, networking groups that we're already involved in. That's where I would start, and then branch out to the general population in terms of postcards and emails, and nail down the press that we'll have, putting out a press release.
Okay, I couldn't agree with you more, Wendy, but I also take on board what Craig's saying. You have to, your target's to fill the room. The easiest thing is, first of all, you want the room full, right? How many people will the room take?
200.
150 maybe.
Okay. So what we're saying is we want a minimum of 100 and a maximum of 200. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, why did I do that?
For those who don't show.
No. I want to know what my capacity is. Then I'm going to work to my capability. My capacity is 200. Now my capability might be 100, but you're correct, Craig, is that you sell to 200 and you expect at least 100 to 150. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? You've got to be that clear. If you want something to happen, you have to be clear and concise. Now, Wendy, the relationships you have are going to help to get you your first 100 people, right?
Right.
And that shouldn't be that hard of work. But
Right.
it's the people of influence and the people of profit is where the real issue is going to be. So instead of saying athletics, who in athletics? Who in corporations? Who are you going to target? Because it's hard work. You don't just use a shotgun. You've got to use a bloody laser.
So, well, here's a question too. When we originally talked about this, we had thought about the launch would be like give them a 2-hour time frame between 5 and 7. So are we trying to get them in there all at one time to do a presentation? Or are we going to do a presentation, but those that come in later because they couldn't get there, then we'll just talk to one-on-one and they can watch screenings being done? Or?
Like creating a wave. Should we create a wave?
Look, the one thing I know about business, the thing that will sell it is the people talking to each other about the process. So you probably want a period of time where you do a presentation and then you want to socialize.
Right.
You want people talking to people. You want them talking about all the good things about you. Now, Dari Motion is just part of your center. You're inviting them to your center and talking about your vision. So do you think it's important that Craig speaks or you speak?
Sure. Yeah.
And do you need to have your vision set up?
Yeah.
Yes. And will there be different levels of understanding in the people that you invite?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to invite every single trainer that's in your immediate area, within 50 kilometers or 50 miles of your immediate area?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we also looking to create cash flow, and part of our thing of creating cash flow is renting our facility out to trainers. So that'll give them an opportunity to have a look at our facility, as well as see where we're utilizing technology to enhance performance.
Yes, and you want to make your technology profitable. You're saying, we will give you a rate, and that's why we've got to work out the rate. We say, we'll give you a rate to use this machine to enhance your business. Let's grow together. Let's create a community of well-beingness, right? And when you do that, we have to know what the expense and the true cost of Dari Motion is. So you might well agree to give them a report on their client. But do you want to set up that report?
What do you mean?
Well, look, the Dari Motion machine does its bit, right?
Right.
Somebody's got to interpret what it's saying.
Right.
But you don't want to do that. In the beginning, you want a report that you can hand to them, and then you want to understand the report.
Right.
And you want them to enhance their ability to do the business for themselves. But you have to charge for it. right? Now, if you use it for your own clients, do you have to charge?
No.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yes, for my time, but yeah.
But you can include it, and it's an advantage. But you don't need to tell people that. You just need to understand it. You need to be clear in your business process. And the clearer we are in the business process, the better it's going to be. So, Wendy, I like where you're at. I like your thinking. The thing that I would say to you, have you ever done batch texting?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the largest batch you've texted out in?
I don't know, maybe 50 when we were for our like holiday parties or our client appreciation days and things.
Perfect. So what you need to do is you need to incorporate as part of your plan, not just emails. You've got to do emails, texting. You might text and say, check your emails. I've just sent you an invitation to a great idea. You understand my point?
Right.
You've got to create the urgency. Just sending an email is not enough. There's got to be urgency about it. So I'm glad that you know how to do batches of text emails. 50 is probably very, very good, right? So
Okay.
you know how to get out there and you know how to do all of that stuff, right? Now we need to work on the language and the words in which you do it. You've got 3 weeks. I would say that everybody has to be touched 5 times in 3 weeks to get them there. In your campaign, you're going to need to work out, and each time has to be valuable, of value to them, not to you. Does that make sense?
You mean a value to them as far as what we're sending them?
Yes, what you're sending them. Hey, we've got this great new thing happening at our performance center. It's called Dari Motion. Keep you in touch, right? You've got to link it. It's no good just saying I'm going to do direct mail. I'm going to do this. Yes, you can have direct mail campaigns, but this has got to be urgent. And this is not something you want to be sitting around at a table talking about. This is something you want to be doing. And Wendy, if you could even get off this call and do it, put this date aside for everybody. Go ahead.
In order to create the urgency, are we saying something like, only X amount of spots, RSVP, will accept the first X amount of people, or space limited? Yeah.
Yes. Say, we are bringing a world-class technology to this area. Stay tuned. It's about your health, your well-being. It's about what we believe in. That sort of message, right? Now, you know the language better, or the words better than I do, but the language has got to be urgent. Yes, we can only fit so many people in. Yes, we expect it to be full. Yes, we'd like you to be one of the first people there. We thought of you first. How's that?
Okay.
You understand my point?
Uh-huh. So I should send out 1 or 2 teasers before we actually send out the invite?
Well, it's up to you. You would understand that. And Craig apparently has got marketing people that you guys are looking at. You should decide that. But you can't sit around talking about it. You actually have to do it. If you can do batch text, then we should be on it, right? And we should be on it ASAP. And the real truth of it is, write this down. There's got to be 3 to 5 contacts in 3 weeks. But you have to have maybe 3 confirming they're coming. You've got to ask the question, are you going to be there? This is urgent. We need to know the numbers. We're catering, or we're doing whatever we're doing. If you're going to be there, make sure you're there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then you've got to have all of your ducks in a row in terms about, is Craig going to speak? Is Dari Motion going to speak? Are you going to show them around the center? All of those things are part of your plan. But the first thing is exposure. Expose, expose, expose. What do you think is going to start to happen when you start to expose, Wendy?
Create. Oh, create.
Well, just the awareness that we even, one, that we exist, and two, all that we have and all that we offer.
Yes.
And then
100% correct. It's a buzz. You've got 3 weeks to create a buzz. Does that make sense?
yes.
And you've absolutely got to pound it. Now, the least expensive way of doing it is through your social media exchanges. And then you've got to start bringing in things like, can you get it on TV? Can you get it on the radio? Can you get it in the newspaper? But do you want to pay for that stuff?
No.
No, you want to promote that stuff. So you've got to, Dari Motion have got to have something you can send to radio stations, TV stations, and to newspapers. They've got to be able to create the promotional material to create the buzz. Just having a sporting center in Richmond is not going to get you the buzz. Dari Motion is going to get you the buzz. Does that make sense?
But I feel like we're just waiting on them to create that for us, and we're running out of time.
Yeah, you can't wait. That's my whole point. The only thing that we could do is what I've been focused on. I've been focused on one thing. What is the thing I've been focused on?
Profit.
Yeah, profit is what I've been focused on for you. But for this event, what's the one thing I focused on?
Or getting organized. Urgency.
Date. When are you going to be here? Because it allows us, we've got 3 weeks to do what we need to do. If they just ring you one day and say, oh, we're going to arrive tomorrow, what chance do you have?
I mean, but we have the date, but as far as you said, Dari needs to get us the promotional material to get out to the media. I mean,
they'll have
we've
some
asked multiple times, and should we just move forward and put it together ourselves? Because
no, Wendy, if it needs to be, get me on a call with them and I'll kick their ass for you. I will ask the hard questions. If you guys, in a lot of ways, there's naivety going on. They will have already done TV stuff. They would have already done radio stuff. They would have already done newspapers. We want to see samples. We want to know what they've done. That's what they're purporting in all their literature, for gosh sakes. We want to know what they've got it. I've seen it. So have you seen it. Well, what they're not doing is being forthright about it. They're focused in other places. Now I want to focus them on what we are doing. Let's get it. We got a date. Now we need to focus and pound the living shit out of them. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Craig, this is how you get your return on your investment. They owe us. That's my attitude. And they're not going to give you money back. Make no mistake, money is almost a sacred cow in this thing. What they will do is they'll give you support that they can give you quickly. We want to see what they've got. I want to see what a Dari Motion report looks like today. I want to see, and listen, I've seen that they've done newspaper. I've seen that they've done social media stuff, radio, TV. We want to get all that working, and we need them to support us. We want 200 people, and we want them focused. What happens when we focus them? What happens to them on the night?
On the 9th?
Yeah, you've got to educate them as well as you've got to educate all the people on your expectation. You expect a result, right?
While they're there, to take with them.
Yes, it's exactly right. It's why are they there? This is what we want you to do, for gosh sakes. What the hell's the point in showing up and just setting up? You're here to make this thing move. It's to your advantage and it's to our advantage. Now let's get together. That's called synergy. Right now, you've got what's falling apart. We need to bring it together. And the $30,000, no matter which way you look at it, and the $2,200 is all at risk. Now, if they can't perform, I can tell you that one of the first things I will do is support you in telling them about the extra $2,000 that they want on a monthly basis. We will then have rights. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Perform or don't get paid. You understand, Wendy?
Yes.
I don't care about your agreement right now. What I care about is control. You get control by managing the space. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are we clear about what we're going to do tomorrow, Craig?
Yes, we're gonna be
I
very
don't want to be sitting around. What are we going to do tomorrow?
We're gonna let them know that we need to have at least 200 people in here. I'm looking for different approaches to doing it. We'll take care of the social media aspect in regards to the 5 touches with email. I just send you a text. Hey, I just send out an email. We'll take care of things of that nature. And tomorrow I'm gonna be asking them for ideas on how to. I'm not going to ask them. I'm going to tell them we want to create. I think a wave is going to be better for us because we still have to work. So I'm thinking like we'll have a wave in the morning time that'll come.
No.
You
For
think
the launch?
for the launch?
The launch is that night from 5 to 7. It's not in the morning.
Okay.
It's,
Well,
it's
5
that
to 7,
night,
but I
Wednesday
want
from
to.
5 to
But
7.
so I don't think that everyone will be able to make it by 5 to 7. So maybe we can have like news do it
Craig,
5 to 7.
don't make excuses for other people. You've got to
No, so-
launch. You want 200 focused people. Now, if you get 70 or 100 focused people, it's better than 200 that are just there to kick tires. We have to be focused. You can't worry about who doesn't get there. If they're not there, that's when you start marketing and say, boy, did you miss an event. Now, do you want TV at the event?
Yes.
We do.
I think we can get that. That shouldn't be a problem.
Right? And you'll get newspaper because newspapers always have social columns, right?
Right.
Were you at the launch of Dari? Boy, did you miss something. These people were there and this is what they said. That's newspaper. Radio is when you get on and you get them moving there. Craig, what you need to do is get these people coordinated so that they're moving towards what you want. Ultimately, you want exposure that leads to profit. Does that make sense? Simple as that. And if
Let me ask you a question. So do you think it's not a good idea that even though this launch started at 5 to 7, and even though we want to get physicians in here, a lot of times the only real opportunity they'll be able to come is during the daytime, probably during a lunch or something. So I was figuring that we could
stop. You're trying to make decisions and make it better for everybody. You can't do that. You've got to decide what you want. You've got to take a point in time and make it work. You've got to focus. It's got to be laser. There's got to be heat on it. What you're doing is trying to do all the what ifs. There's no what ifs in this. We've got a date and we know what has to be done. Put a date and a time on it. I don't care whether it's 7 o'clock at night or 12 in the morning. Right? The fact of the matter is you have to pick a time and focus. Don't worry about what can't be there. Worry about what's going to be there. Does that make sense?
Exactly, 100%
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
right.
It's going to be Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m.
That's it. And if you have to keep pushing at the end of it, hallelujah. Arrangements, the action process or results of arranging or being arranged to an agreed outcome. What we're doing is agreeing on an outcome. The outcome is 7 o'clock Wednesday night, till 9 o'clock or 5 till 7, whatever it is. Focus it down. Don't make what ifs. We don't have time. We've got 3 weeks. Simple as that. Don't open the scope, close the scope. Don't give more choice, give less choice. People do not make good decisions with a bunch of choices. Limit the choice, increase the focus. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Simple as that. Don't keep doing all these what if things. That's what's screwing you over. You've got to stay focused. No excuses, nothing but focus. Does that make sense?
Yes. Pick something, stick to it.
Stick to it and make it work. Craig, personally, you know how to get 50 people in the room just by intimidating them. Right? You get your ass there, you'll be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
That's some of the language you have. You want to change your life, you bloody well be there. You know you could put 50 there just on your energy alone. But we don't need 50. We need 150, which means we have to have systems and processes. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And we
What did
have
you say? Limit the choice and what?
limit the choice, increase the focus. You can't have so many choices.
No, I got you. You're right.
That's why I nailed down a date. I forced you to nail a date, and was I relentless?
Yeah.
All I want to know, I'm not interested in all the, I can do this, I can do that. I want to know whether I'm moving or not moving, in or out. You understand?
I do.
And I've been relentless on saying that Wendy has to be part of this because I know I can feel it in my bones. Right? That's just me. I know that you have an entrepreneur and a business owner sitting in this room. And you're the entrepreneur, Craig. The business owner is sitting beside you, if you want to understand my point. You understand? You've got all the energy, mate. But sooner or later, you've got somebody that has to focus on what's required in the business. Profit. Is that clear, Wendy?
Yep.
I can't be any clearer than that. Now, we need to finish up because you're over time now. Craig, how do you feel? What do you take away?
I feel fucking awesome, and I take away focus.
Right.
Limit the choice. Limit the choice. Increase the focus.
Exactly.
How do you,
Wendy, how does Wendy feel?
Wendy? How do you feel? What do you take away from this?
I feel good. I feel like I'm a little confused as to what's going on tomorrow and what their involvement is. But I don't like. I need clarity, and I like when we have a definite thing so we can work towards it. So, and I feel like sometimes there's too many hands in the pocket, and people are stepping all over, and so no one really, and then nothing gets done. So I want to nail down exactly who's doing what and whose responsibilities are what, and everybody focuses on what their responsibility is. So I just need a little more clarity and a little more focus. But I think 3 weeks is the perfect time frame for us to get this done because, like you said, I agree that people don't really think about something that's 2 months away. So, I feel good. How do you feel, and what do you take away?
Okay, I feel much better now hearing what you just said, Wendy, because that's what it's going to take. It's not going to take a bunch of ideas right now. It's clarity and focus, which is required right now. We've got 3 weeks, great time. It allows us to focus and it allows us to get feedback very quickly. It allows us to expose. We can launch a year-long profit campaign based on what you do in the next 3 weeks. And I'll show you how to do that. Don't buy all the crap that's fed to you. Stay focused. We've got a time, we've got a date, we've got a function. Let's get on, let's make it the best, and let's get exposed. In the back of our minds there's got to be an exchange of money, and there's got to be a profit, and we got to work towards it. I'd like to meet in the next 3 or 4 days, 1 hour again, clear, concise, to the point, and urgent. Does that make sense to both of you?
Yes.
Okay, Craig, as soon as you have your meeting, I want to know what the meeting is about, where your focus was at, so that we can absolutely get on point. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so thank you to both. You'll get this meeting sent to you by YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it so you can get clarity. That's why I tape it. That's why I charge you. I charge you for that. The ideas are not much, but we've got to get a result. And we get a result, then I feel good. If we don't get a result, I just feel like a wandering generality. I can do that anywhere. I want a result. I want to see that we can see that we're improving. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes.
Okay, thank you both for your time, and I'll send this out and we can get on with it later. Sound good?
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Thank you for